I want to cross over to London now, where we've got, here he is, up there on the wall, Nigel Farage, leader of the Brexit Party, spent plenty of time with Queen Elizabeth, and delighted, he will be here in Australia soon as well. Delighted to see you, Nigel. How are you? Welcome back to Outsiders.
Well, thank you. It's been a very sad, sombre, and actually very emotional few days. Millions of Brits are saying the same thing. They're saying they cannot believe the way they reacted to the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Grown men moved to tears. I've twice been to Buckingham Palace. I'm going again tomorrow. And just to see good, decent folk moved emotionally in a way they could never, ever have understood. And the day after the announcement, people said to me, young and old, they just couldn't get to sleep. They couldn't believe what had happened. This rock, this woman who stood for decency, honor, integrity, Christianity, service had gone. And unless you're 75, or, you've never known anything else in your life than Queen Elizabeth. So it's been a very emotional, very sad couple of days. Little bits of joy. King Charles III has said he will stop his climate change campaign. Thank goodness for that. And all around the world, the reaction's been incredible. I mean, can you believe Joe Biden, of all people, has ordered all American government buildings, including the military, to have their flags at half-mast until sunset on the day of the funeral. So I know you're talking about these extremist left-wing professors that have infiltrated our universities and are poisoning the minds of our young kids. But actually, around the world, the reaction's incredible. You know why? She was known simply as the Queen.
Absolutely. Now, Nigel, we spoke on Friday evening and we were anticipating the speech by Charles. It was impressive. You had already flagged the question of whether King Charles would be a different creature to Prince Charles, and he clearly intends to be. That was how I read the speech. It was understated in that way that the Buckingham Palace always is, but he was very clear and specific that the so-called issues that he was passionate about, he would now be leaving to others as he concentrated on his role as a constitutional monarch. That was terrific news. Rita and I have just been having a little Barney here, as we like to do, Nigel, as you know, about whether Liz Truss will live up to her conservative claims or pretensions. Is this a new era? We now have a new king, we've got a new prime minister. Are you optimistic about this new era?
Well, what a week. I mean, if I'd come on Outsiders this time last week and told you there'd be a new PM and a new monarch in the space of the same week, you sort of thought I'd gone crackers. Look, Liz Truss comes from a liberal left background, but appears to have gone through a Damascene conversion. When Starmer, and this is how it happened, by the way, there was a full debate going on about energy policy, a ding-dong going on between Truss and Starmer when a piece of paper came into the House of Commons, was passed around the front benches, there were grave looks, and that's when we all knew something terrible was about to happen. Truss stuck to her guns. She said, we will not put additional extra taxes on gas and oil companies because we want them to reinvest. And she said, we want to become energy independent. Now, I mean, you could have knocked me down with a feather because I've argued for this for years. Now, her ambition is to reach that target by 2040. I personally would have thought 2025 was a better year to aim for. But yeah. I mean, look, all through my life, I've watched Conservatives winning elections and then letting us down like a cheap pair of braces. Maybe Truss will do the same. But for the moment, Rowan, I have to have some faith because she is all that stands between us and falling off the edge of a financial precipice and a Labour, SNP, Liberal Democrat coalition government. So I want to believe in her as I want to believe in, and I'm still finding it hard to say King Charles III. I still haven't got it into my head that this has really happened. But look, we can spend our whole lives consumed in pessimism. Just occasionally, there's room for optimism. And I think, despite how sad I feel about this week and about the passing of this amazing woman that I was honoured to meet, let's have a bit of optimism.
Okay, well, no, I'm going to inject a bit more pessimism with this.
Rita!
No, because we've got to be realistic. Yes, we've heard from King Charles that the activism is behind him now, but the issue is he's had decades of activism, so we know where he stands on just about every issue, whether it's climate change, whether it's Israel, you know, his thoughts on what started the Syrian war. He thinks it was climate change. So is that going to be a hurdle?
COVID was climate change as well, Rita, but we'll get into that. Yes.
So are we going to be able to divorce that activism and see him as an apolitical head of state when we know where he stands on every contentious issue?
Well, yes, but
we never did with the Queen.
His job now is to be a constitutional monarch, an apolitical constitutional monarch. And, you know, much as I love America, this week has shown me that actually the system the British developed after our bloody and brutal civil war is actually a better way of doing things. Mm-hmm. Yes, of course we know his views. Of course we know where he stands. And I've no doubt that the new Prince of Wales, William, will take up the climate change campaign. Yes. No. But as long as Charles, he will. We saw that at the Platinum Jubilee. But as long as Charles keeps to his word, we'll be okay. And a couple of years ago, he was asked, you know, as king, you know, will you pursue these campaigns? His response was, you know, I'm not a complete idiot. So I tell you what, let's hope he's right.
Absolutely. Now, I'll just very quickly say I've had the pleasure of having lunch with Nigel Farage, and it's one of the most entertaining things you can do. It's your turn. It's your turn. You buy tickets to nigelive.com. He's out in Australia in a couple of weeks' time. He's got evenings in Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne. If you want to have the enjoyment of his company and his wit and his great insights, you make sure you sign up for those tickets. Are selling very fast. You don't want to miss out. Nigel, always great to see you. Looking forward to seeing you soon.